Shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Sean Michael here. Glad to have everybody joining and looking forward to talking today about something really special. I've kind of put this together and to share a series. So that series I'm calling the Identity Blindspot series. And it has a simple premise that most people, most leaders who are feeling stuck, it's not a lack of strategy or skills. What's missing is their ability to see the unconscious identity patterns that are quietly running their life. These patterns are so familiar that they've actually become invisible. You've run them so many times. We run them so many times, we don't even notice them. It shows up in roles that we signed up for, or we adopted, not signed up for, we adopted those roles very, very early in our life without question. And we all carry stories that at one time they protected us, but now they're creating a ceiling. And over the next 6 Mondays, we'll look at, thanks a lot, LinkedIn, we'll look at the 6 of the most common blind spots that affect high performers. This isn't about finding fault or tearing anything down. It's just to see more clearly. I firmly believe that we cannot lead beyond what we can see. So this is about seeing better. And today is episode 1, the revenge fantasy hiding in your success drive. And this episode starts with a question for everyone. And I see Joy commented, I don't know if she's here live or not, because it doesn't tell me when that comment was posted. But Joy, if you're here live, thank you for joining. As more and more people join, we'll see more comments. Please comment. Let me know where you're joining from, anything like that. All right, so our one question for today. If the people who doubted you could see you now and felt absolutely nothing, would your ambition still feel the same? Let's sit with that a second. And we will come back to that. All right. So earlier I mentioned it's about patterns, right? So what is the pattern? Let's name it. Most of us were taught that ambition is a good thing. And I don't want to argue that. It is good. But it's not automatically good. There is a version of drive that comes from genuine desire to, you want to build something real, to contribute something that really, really matters in the world, in your life. Who doesn't want to become someone that is respected? Especially someone that we can respect. And Jackie, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. There's another version, though. From the outside, it looks exactly the same. Put in the same hours, you set similar goals, we use the same way to talk about it. But underneath of that, there's a different program, there's a different pattern running. And this pattern is an old need to prove something to someone. It could be a parent that dismissed you long ago. That teacher who overlooked you in class. Maybe it was a room that you didn't feel taken seriously. Or perhaps an ex who actually underestimated you. Finally, perhaps it's the old version of yourself that you're trying to leave behind, and you've been trying to leave it behind for a long time. When those are the engine, when that drive to prove something is what's pushing you, success is no longer a destination. It's a message, and you're delivering that message to an audience that probably isn't even watching anymore. This shows up in a founder who hits every milestone and then pivots to a more challenging goal, and usually more public. It can show up in an executive that cannot celebrate a win without raising the standard. I've seen it in coaches who need client transformation to be visible to the world more than their clients do. In this case, the motivation stops being about building something, and we turn it into settling something. We're basically sending a message to a ghost. Let's talk about now, why is this blind spot so hard to notice? I use the term revenge in the title because really it doesn't feel like revenge if we're operating in it. We say, it's my standards. I'm trying to achieve excellence. You might feel like you're wired differently. You care more. You don't want to settle. But watch what happens when you actually win. It might light you up for a day, maybe two. And then that little voice in your head starts sharing. Good morning, Liana. Thank you for joining us from way up north. So as I was saying, the win, we get the win, we reach the goal, we're excited for a moment, brief time, and then the voice starts up again. What's next? Was that enough? Who else needs to see it? The goalposts keep moving. Every time we reach them, they move. And this isn't to say that you or I or anyone else is not growth oriented. It says, for that voice, that inner story, it means the story's over. You reached the goal. But the reality is, and welcome, Michael. The reality is, the story hasn't made its point yet. This ambition from a prove it mindset or prove it identity, it's unstable. It takes its energy from pain, which means it can only stay active if the pain stays. We have to see the wound regularly, right? We can't let the wound close and heal completely. That slight, the way someone slighted it has to be front and center. Because when we truly heal from these, that fuel is gone. So our unconscious wants to keep it alive. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Under pressure, you don't rise to your strategy, you default to your identity. This identity that we're talking about, that's running the pattern, you didn't choose it. You learned it. And you usually learned it really early, in a place where your value seemed to have conditions. So let's look at the 2-chair exercise. We're looking at the identity that needed to prove versus the leader who built. And I use that term leader intentionally because if you're here listening to this, you may not call yourself a leader, but you're a leader. I see the names. I know you're out there leading in some way. Maybe it doesn't have a title or a role, but you're a leader. And inside every high performer that runs this pattern, there's typically 2 voices. One is the voice that learned to drive on, push through the pain. No pain, no gain. Like, push forward, keep going. We'll call that one the prover. The one that built the success you've seen to now. And happy Monday, Lisa. The other identity is the leader that your next stage actually needs. It's the version of you who can build from a solid foundation. So in chair 1, imagine sitting in the first chair, or take the time later on and put 2 chairs face to face and sit in the first chair. Either way, it's very beneficial. In the first chair will be that prover identity, the one that got you to where you are today. Not a villain. It's worked. It's protected you. It helped you reach real goals. But I want you to listen to how it speaks. You might hear things like, I have to keep proving myself. I can't let them see me slow down. If I stop pushing, I will lose my edge. I need this win to mean more than just win. And while you're doing the exercise, just take a moment and silently complete this sentence. The reason I still need to prove something is because. And honor that. Whatever the voice says to you, honor it. It's what's kept you going, it's what's gotten you to here. It deserves some respect. But I want you to notice, what is the cost that it's incurred? What is the energy that it has taken to keep the wound active? What is the limit or the ceiling that it's created in your life? How has it created every arrival or achievement is really a departure, because you've got to go to the next bigger thing. Now, in chair 2, you're going to shift mentally in your mind or physically, whatever works for you. This is your identity that doesn't need the audience. It talks differently. It says things like, my value is not tied to others' opinions of me. I can build something real. It doesn't have to be a message for anybody specific. A win can just be a win. I love this one. I'm not running from something. I'm moving toward something. Powerful, Michael. And we will come back to that for sure. All right. So the second sentence from the leader identity that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to perform, is this: if I no longer needed to prove anything, I would lead differently by. So we had the first one, right? What is the reason that I still feel the need to prove? And that the reframe is, if I no longer needed to prove anything, here's what I do differently. All right. We can't just leave these two hanging out. We want to bring them into full integration within you. We're not trying to eliminate the prover. It's done powerful work. It's earned its right to stay. But we don't want to let it run things anymore. When we get to build from wholeness instead of the wounds, the pace doesn't slow down. We're still going to push hard. Our standards will stay. It doesn't mean lowering our standards or slowing the pace. What does change is that quality of our experience. Those wins actually like feel something, right? You feel powerful in the win. You don't immediately have to go get another win, chase a high, right? You can celebrate the win. And of course, you're going to chase another one, but you don't have to immediately shift to chasing it. Most of all, the work stops costing you so much. Whatever journey you're on, whatever path you're trying to follow, the goals you're trying to achieve, when we build from that updated identity, doesn't cost as much. And old strategies don't have to run you anymore. Okay, 1 second. My computer's flipping. I don't know what's going on. I added a new extension to help with reading, and it's causing problems. So, as we said before, Michael, you always engage so deeply, and I appreciate that, and I want to talk about that more. So, when we've been operating from that old pattern of basically seeking revenge, trying to prove something to somebody, it has a quiet cost, especially when it's been remains invisible, because goals keep shifting, targets move, those wins, they feel hollow, and the energy required to maintain it gets more and more and more. Eventually, usually very quietly, what used to feel like purpose begins to feel like obligation. This isn't fail. I'm not talking failure or breakdown. It's just that slow drain that many driven people are afraid. They're either afraid or too proud to actually name. Because the operator, the identity that's running things, has not evolved. That old identity that was built to survive in tough circumstances, the ones where you questioned your worth, your value, it continues to run your life, even though you've already proved it. All right. So, two more things to write down. The identity I built to prove myself is fill in the blank. And then rewrite it where that identity now limits my leadership is. All right. Put that in there. Once you've done that, I want you to ask yourself what version of myself would lead and had no need for the audience. This one question can shift so much. All right, let's go back and look at what Michael shared. Oh, I see Coach Carey. I didn't see that. Coach Carey's joining from YouTube. I totally understand that. Welcome, Coach Carey. All right, so let's go back. Where's Joy's? Okay, I see Joy's comment. It was pre-show. So I can't show it on screen. But I can do this. Let me try this. From Joy. this will let me. All right, now I can show that on screen. Of course, it's too long and it cuts off. So Joy said that she's been thinking something similar, the price we pay for being busy. And does all the busyness really make any sense? Or does it just drive our burnout? As she says, the ambition is meant to be a personal goal, but it can easily be set and controlled by other people. Yes, that's a good point, because often we have to look at, are the goals or the targets we're aiming at, are they even ours? Are they what we really want, or are they something we think we need to pursue because of somebody we're trying to prove something to? I recently worked with a client that she's very wise. She's amazing at what she does. But she's got that hidden voice. She's trying to prove something based on something her father said when she was little. And it has caused her to go through these spurts. Like, she actually said it's like hitting the accelerator and then slamming on the brake, and hitting the accelerator and slamming on the brake, and causing her to carry things that aren't hers to carry. Right? How many things are you carrying? How many things are you trying to prove? How many goals are you working towards that are driving you, keeping you busy, keeping you pushing on towards burnout, possibly, that aren't even yours? They're not even what you want. So that's our blind spot. That's our first blind spot, is that pattern that we're chasing things because we're trying to prove something to a parent, a teacher, an ex, ourselves even. All right, then what do we got here? So we got Leanna. Oh, wait, let me go back here. Jackie says, I don't elevate myself for others. Jackie, if you're still here, please tell me more about that. I want to hear more about that. Leanna up in Minnesota says, good morning to all. Michael says, habarigani, which I still don't know what that means. Some discussion back and forth among everybody. Lisa says, happy Monday. Michael, Joy, if you come back and watch the replay, definitely check back and you can respond to Michael. That would be great. Jackie says, that's deep. All right, Michael. So, Michael, you say that it's because you're not sovereign in mind and your actions. And I'd love to hear more on that if you're still here. Coach Carrie in Indiana says hi. And then Michael's, it's identified that there are current limitations that prevent me from being all that I can be. I sincerely believe that I am limited in mind and capacity, but I am not incapable. That's definitely a good starting point, Michael. And this is the personal work, is to get in there and find out where are those mental limitations in your mind. And then examine them closely. Right? Are they real? Are they legitimate? Are they, or are they just an old story we've told again and again and again. How are you? Okay, thank you, Michael. Knowing and understanding how to leverage the strengths of my resources is limited, and as a result, I need to know how to do this significantly better. Michael, one of my mentors, and somebody actually said this to me recently. I was in a call and I commented in a group related to the call, the information that was shared. And he actually sent me a clip of one of my virtual mentors actually saying this: it's never a lack of resources, it's a limit in your resourcefulness. Now, it felt slimy the way this person used it, because basically they were asking for a $10,000 annual commitment, which currently is not within my budget. But it landed, right? Because the reality is if it's important enough to reach this, I would find a way to if I saw the value in that mastermind, if I truly saw the value and it really aligned with me, I would find the money. And I've heard so many stories of others that they made a commitment like that, a big commitment, because it was aligned. They felt like it was the right thing for them to do. They were all in. And at one level, they were panicking, like, I just committed to pay this large sum. I don't know where it's coming from. But taking a step back and looking at options, they were able to cover that expense easily. So it is there. But from my own personal experience, sometimes it is a challenge to look at it from a different angle and find the resourcefulness to reach those new levels, Michael. All right. So we covered the comments. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's a very light turnout, but I also know that I sent invitations just 3.5 hours ago. So wasn't expecting a huge turnout. Thank you for everyone that came today. So I have a simple invitation. If what we talked about today surfaced something for you, it felt familiar, don't think of it as a flaw. Think of it as a threshold, calling you to step forward, possibly. I'm offering identity clarity calls where we can separate those two identities, the one that built and got you to where you are now, and the updated, evolved version that can help you move into your next stage. So if you're ready to stop proving to the ghost, send me a message. Let's get you on the calendar. Let's get a schedule. No pitch, no obligation. We'll have a chat and see how we can move you to that new identity. So now I'm going to open it up. Anyone who wants to come on stage and share, you're welcome. As usual, camera not required. All right, so Michael wants that written down. Let's see, let me put that in there. Let me hide that. And Michael added a new one. My virtual mentor taught me it's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. In my own journey, working to find that resourcefulness is the process that I focus on. Somehow I think that, oh, it did go. Okay. Just wanted to get that. LinkedIn crashed. There you go, Michael. It's there for you. Um, Live life while at the same time monitoring your actions in real time and making adjustments in actions that don't align with your internal intentions. Yeah, it is a process, Michael. We don't wake up one day and everything's magical. I wish it was. It's a process. Um, that's a lot of what I'm teaching. It's the lessons I'm learning real time, the things that I've learned real time, either in the not so distant or the also in the very recent past. As I've said before, it's about readjusting our set point, our identity threshold, so we can go to the next level. And from there we can go, and it compounds. Each small change we make, a small evolution and shift, it gets us to a new footing so that we can step to the next one and to the next. You're so kind, Michael. I wouldn't want the job. Wouldn't. It's not my thing. Um, I feel like I can do more good this way than in the Oval Office. Any other questions, comments, willingness to join and share? Love to hear from everyone, whether in text or on the stage. You are always appreciated. I feel bad because Jackie comes to this show regularly, and I don't always get it to her show. I caught her yesterday with Damien talking about the virtual wellness experience that 2350 recently put on. That was great to hear from Jackie, and it was Jackie and Damien and Felipe and a new person I hadn't met before, Heather and Martha. So we have quite the little community here. It's nice when we can bump into each other and support each other. I appreciate everyone coming in. Also, even if you just want to send a message, talking more about what's been covered on Monday MindShift, any of them, please feel free. I'm here to serve. Don't choose the job chooses you. Yeah, but at least with president, you have to throw your hat in the ring. Good point, Michael. And I should put you on my calendar just to have a chat, Michael, because I'd love to get to know you more. I've heard your shares in the comments, on live events with any. And I'd love to learn more about you, about any of you. Jackie said, "Oh, we'll have to see about talking on her show, but her show airs at in one of my protected times, which is bedtime routine with my son. So unfortunately, that is something we have to work out, like pre-record or something, because that is something that is very protected for me. I call it my protected list, because no matter what the opportunity, no matter what somebody invites me to, it's an easy no, because that's a protected time, and I don't have to go back and forth with myself like, oh, but it's like, sorry, I can't. All right. Nobody wants to come on stage. So, any other questions, comments, areas we can discuss? Happy to talk more about whatever. Otherwise, perhaps it's worth, wrapping it up for the day, taking an early day off. I know what I can do, though. Give you a little tease about our next week. So next week is episode 2. Why can't you receive what you've been asking for? Because the identity we're operating from has an upper limit to what it can hold. So if our identity is built around striving, earning, being the capable one, receiving freely, it starts to get uncomfortable, because it's a conflict of the story, right? This old story, like, I have to work hard and earn it, so I can't just receive it. Favorite example that jarred me. I would say the biggest thing that jarred me, Michael, initially, the first thing was, you need someone else to see your blind spots. You can't see them. That's why we call them blind spots. But also, what was jarring was realizing that why all the strategies and reading more and more books and all of this stuff just never gave me what I wanted. It was actually learning that I had to update myself at the deepest level and stop trying to prove something to my father, to old teachers, to school bullies, whatever, to gain, update my identity, and then, realize, like, I don't have to prove to anybody. The people that are listening will listen. The ones that aren't ready to hear this, they'll bypass it. They'll make comments. What is my endeavor in this? Is because I see so many people that are striving to prove something, and they're burning out. They're in a start-stop mode. So I want to share what I've learned of how we can update some of the questions, some of the actions that I took. I love the two-chair dialogue. It's very, very effective. I've used it for many, many aspects of my blind spots, my limits, to acknowledge the parts of me that got me through different parts of life and helped me achieve certain things, but I don't want to let them run the show anymore because they're causing a limitation. I went through a lot of struggle and pain in my journey, Michael. So my vision is to share that if somebody gets an aha moment and can bypass some of the challenges that I've gone through. Great way to put it, Michael. Surrendered my frame of mind to construct a better frame of mind. And a lot of that came down to trusting myself that no matter what happens, I can get to the other side. I can pick myself up, continue on, learn, and do better the next time. To trust myself, to love myself, to know that my value, my worth has nothing to do with anybody outside of me. And it actually has nothing to do with my esteem of my worth. I'm a priceless human being. You're a priceless human being. Jackie's a priceless human being. Are we flawed? Absolutely. Do we make mistakes? All the time. Are we perfect? Is there anybody? But we're learning, we're growing, we're supporting each other, we're sharing, we're alive, we're here for a purpose, and we just have to surrender. Like you said, this reminds me, you don't find your purpose. You surrender. Get into the new frame of mind, and the job chooses you. Great way to put it, Michael. All right. Down to the last 10 minutes. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Thank you again. Thank you, Michael, for your questions, your comments. I appreciate them a lot. Everybody else as well. If you're watching by replay, drop a comment letting me know you're watching on the replay. Not everybody gets to make it live. I know. Sometimes I'm live, sometimes I get to go replays. But that's the beauty of the internet. The content's out there for anybody. Well, and Michael, what they say is, I just shared this with someone. Teach once, learn twice, right? Anything you teach to somebody else, you learn it even more powerfully. I've been coaching people on English for 8 years, and I have an understanding of English that I never had for my whole life. And English is weird. It's a pain in the neck. So, thank you all. We'll see you next week for why you can't receive what you've been asking for. Take care. Have an awesome week. We'll see you next time.
In the shadow of a mirror, where the past holds tight, he walks in with fire igniting the night. A truth seeker's vision, he shines through the black. With every step forward, he won't look back. Telling tales of struggle, the masks we wear, we're bound by the labels, lost in the snare. Time to break free from those chains of